Hey everyone, welcome back to an episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we actually have another guest for the first time in a very long time. Josh and I got really lonely, and so we brought back our record holder, actually, still record holder, Brice, for the
Oh,
most guest
still
appearances on the show, which is always fun. But Brice is back. So Brice, how are you doing? How's life treating you? And yeah,
good. I'm surprised I'm still the record holder. It's been probably almost a year, I would think. But
yeah.
I'm proud to still hold that record. I'm doing good. I'm trying to think of last time. I think I may have still had a job. I quit my job and started my own videography business.
Ooh,
So that's where I'm at, and that's going pretty well. But
ooh.
yeah.
Keep him busy. Keep him busy. Josh, how are you doing, Josh?
Just trying to stay warm up here, man. At work last night, it
True,
got
man.
down to like 1 or 0 degrees outside, and today it's only 12, so it's not much better.
Man, count your blessings, man. Because over here in Europe, man, in Ukraine, they have about almost 0 degree weather and no heating. So I always tell people I'm seeing everything over here, and that's definitely something to see. But speaking of, I guess weather, there was a lot of warm weather last night in Miami, with an amazing football game that I was able to wake up to. Perks of being here in Hungary is I get to wake up to the end of a game. I got to see the end of that game, and I got to see Carson Beck do what Carson Beck does best, which is throw interceptions on key moments. And so I'm interested to hear, obviously, our guys. Josh, give us a little intro, kind of what we're going to talk about here today.
Yeah, when I was watching this one, it seemed like a tale of two halves, honestly, because in the first half, even the way that some friends and I were discussing it, we kind of concluded that Indiana was gonna just put their foot on the gas in the second half
Hmm.
and run away with it because Miami's offense couldn't get off, couldn't stay on the field. They had, I think, three or four three and outs to start the game off. Indiana, they hadn't scored a ton. The defense on Miami was doing its job. But the defense is going to get worn out eventually if you keep playing a football game like that. And then even in the second half, of course, Miami has that punt that gets blocked by Indiana, returned for a touchdown, and you think that's going to be a deflating moment. But you got to give credit to the Hurricanes, man. They just kept, getting up after getting hit in the mouth and coming back and coming back. And sure enough, at the end of the game, they got a shot right there with Beck leading the game-winning drive, which is something he already did in the Ole Miss game. So you figure we might have at least at the very least, a overtime game if they can get a touchdown, even if they miss the extra point, or it ends the way it does. And I think the losses Miami had to SMU and Louisville also were one possession losses that
Hmm.
ended with Carson Beck throwing a pick too. So that's just kind of how the games have gone this year. But yeah, heck of a national championship, man. I think that
Hmm.
touchdown that Mendoza got, I got to throw that up there with Vince Young's game-winning touchdown in the Rose Bowl. That was on a 4th and 5 right there, and they converted another 4th and down earlier. And when you just think about small decisions, how they can shape up a game, uh, they called a timeout on 4th and 5. We're going to initially kick, and then decided to run that play and get the six. So if they don't get that and they just kick three right there, Miami's got a shot to go ahead and uh, march down the field and kick a field goal to just tie it. They don't
Yeah.
have to get the touchdown, and then it forces Carson Beck, of course, to be more aggressive and take more shots towards the end zone, which leads to the pick. So just got to think small things like that. Even the block punt touchdown, we saw a defensive touchdown for Miami affect the way that Ohio State did things just several weeks ago. So yeah, what a national
Yeah.
championship. What a season for Indiana. And we'll get into the entirety of like what it means for Indiana, but just focusing on the game, yeah, it was one of the best national championships I can remember seeing in the last several years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say that the coolest thing about this game is that it wasn't. It was in a way it kind of reminded me of last year's game with Ohio State. Kind of like Ohio State dominated for a portion of the game, and then Notre Dame started chipping back last year, chipping back, and was within a couple scores. I think Miami once again. We saw Fletcher. We'll talk about the punch afterwards, but Fletcher decides, he breaks, Elliott's record for the most rushing yards in a college football playoff. I mean, he showed that he's legit. Um, but again, it's Carson Beck, and what was the issues at Georgia? Turnovers, bad choices, bad management. And what ended up coming back to haunt him, which my buddy who I work with said the same thing. He's like, if there's one thing that going into this game, he's like, it's probably going to lead on to Beck making a mistake, and that's what happened. And so, give credit to Indiana's defense. Mendoza, he's a heck of a player. I've been proven wrong. I'll apologize. I was proven wrong by Mendoza. I never really thought he was all that. I mean, I still think NFL wise, we'll have to wait and see. But the grit, the toughness, the smarts, he's got it all, and the great story. I mean, just his family and everything, like an amazing story. I did think it was interesting that his brother decided to transfer after the game, which was just kind of ironic. But we'll talk about Indiana here in a second. But I want to hear Bryce's thoughts on the game. But I thought it was one of the most entertaining games that I've seen in a while.
You're not going to get a lot of thoughts from me because I just turned it on at the last 9 minutes, to be honest with you. My narrative of the championship game is going to actually not even be about the game itself. It's uh, the college football playoff format. I got so fatigued, tired of it, and didn't even like care and just totally lost interest because I just feel like it's drawn out from New Year's till now for so long. And you wait 2 weeks. Like I just lost interest in the game, and yeah, it's because Ohio State wasn't in it, and I just was super bummed about that. But even last year when Ohio State was in it, I was actually like more excited about the journey of getting there and watching
Hmm.
that. And then when we got to the championship, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we're in it. I'm excited, but for some reason, some of the magic kind of got lost in that waiting period. And I just felt the same way of this one. It's like I just didn't care. I'd rather watch cartoons with my wife on TV. But I will say I did turn the game on with 9 minutes to go, and or it was in there. As soon as I turned it on, Mendoza had the play, and that was just pretty cool. So I was pretty glued to it for the last 9 minutes, and I think that was probably, I didn't watch the rest of it, was probably the most entertaining segment of the game. You could correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong, if
Yeah,
you guys watched
I'd
it.
say
But
that.
That was
so I
that was
saw the
up there.
most entertaining.
Yeah.
So as soon as I turned on, it was great, and I mean, it was a fantastic 9, 10 minutes of football. I couldn't have asked for any more to be entertaining than
Yeah.
that. So don't have a lot of comments. I mean, I'm happy that the Big Ten's won 3 championships in a row because I live in the South here now and have to deal with all these SEC crackers. And so it's really nice to just say, like, to brag on the Big Ten. I
Yeah.
got tons of Indiana friends from back home too. So
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, a
It,
little fun considering the game itself, but
no. I
No,
I
that's all
was
good. We could go a lot of different directions here. Do you want to
yeah.
discuss like just what this means for
I
Indiana and maybe how
I
like the new college football world
mhm.
has enabled a team like them to be able to win a championship
Yeah.
like this?
I would just say I want to apologize to Indiana. I want to apologize to Kurt Snetti. I've called you a lot of things on this show. Not really.
Yes,
I
you
haven't really.
have.
I have. I've said
You
that
didn't even pick
he
them to win this
I
game.
didn't. I
I
didn't.
did.
And I will say
what?
that listen, I will say this. Okay, listen. I I've and I think part of it is way I grew up, like Indiana was always atrocious and terrible. And so for me,
Yeah.
I think it is one of the coolest stories, right? They're the only team to go 16-0, right? This is a team who 3 years ago was 3-9 and scrambling to even have a football team in a sense. And I have to apologize because you know what? To Indiana fans, we have a guy who cooks burgers near in the town next to me, and he's been an Indiana fan ever since we've known him. Always gives a hard time when Ohio State plays Indiana, and then this year he gets that revenge against Ohio State plus the national title, and I'm so happy for him. And my brother lives in Indiana now, and he's telling me it is wild in Indiana right now. It doesn't matter if you're not from Bloomington; it's just wild scenes in a sense. And also because it wasn't Notre Dame, and it makes me happy. But in general, I'm just so happy for Indiana, for the Big Ten. I'm so tired of the SEC thing, and even now, I still hear people saying the SEC. I'm like, stop, okay, okay. Like it's obvious at this point. You didn't have a team make the finals in the last 2 years. So for me, it's really cool to see, and Josh proved me wrong. He said Indiana could do it, and they did. So on Josh's point, Josh, I think does this change with the transfer portal? We'll have to wait and see because Indiana does lose like 50 some dudes. So we have to kind of see, is this a pattern that can keep going? I've still in the heart of it still believe development is a key part, And, like we said, and I said this before the show, Josh, that there's 58% of players that went to the portal have made it to a new team. That means 42% has still not found a team, and there's a chance they don't even find a team. Um, so, so I'm interested to see your guys' takes on that and how this Indiana game changes that, and even Miami in a sense that you can go out and find a team. I still believe in like the Ohio State model that you only get a few guys that you can fill in. But again, in Ohio State's perspective, they lost 32 guys this year to the portal, which is unheard of for Ohio State. But again, it's this agent thing. I think Josh Pate said it best. Anybody can be an agent. Your grandma, your bus driver, anyone could be an agent. And so these kids hear something, they get excited, and they want to go chase the money. And I still really believe like I'm not going to go out and get a transfer guy who's been at 3 schools in 3 years. I'm going to get a guy that maybe he's been at a school for 3 years, but he really wants to up his level. Okay, I get that. So that's my take. I'm interested to hear you guys' take as well.
Yeah, I'll start off with just why I picked Indiana in this game. It's because I've been doubting them most of the year. I picked against them when they faced Oregon in the regular season. I picked against them when it came to facing Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. I at least had them going all the way to the championship game this year because I thought they had a pretty good path. But when it came down to Miami, like I really liked Miami. I loved what they did at the line of scrimmage, and I think that's plays into why Ben ended up picking them.
Hmm.
But uh, I mean, just to give a testament to Indiana and what I'm about to say next, that first half, Miami's offensive line, we talked, averages about 50 pounds more per person
Hmm.
than the Indiana defensive line. They couldn't move those guys at all. Like Indiana was just, holding their own, clogging all the holes in the line whenever Fletcher would try to get a run off. So Indiana just all year seems like they will figure out how to play your game and be better at it, or they're gonna like impose their will and play their game. And it's just like,
Hmm.
yeah, you watch Signetti on the sidelines, man. That guy just looks like a stone cold killer all the time. The score
Hmm.
can be 70-0 Indiana, or it can be 7-0 Indiana, and he's just looking there like, why don't we have more points? Why
Hmm.
don't haven't we forced more turnovers? Something like that. Guy's just crazy next
Learn
level
something,
good
Ryan Day.
coach. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
That's some other
right.
discourse I've seen is like, would Ryan Day have gone for it on either of those fourth downs that
No.
led to,
The
I
answer
don't
is
know.
no. They would have
I
leaned
don't
on
know.
Jaden Felding.
Yeah, and then maybe you would have missed the kick entirely. Like you can't even guarantee that to be the case. But yeah,
Belding's going to be gone now, right? He was a
Yes,
senior.
they did. They just got a
Sorry
kicker
to
in the
interject.
portal.
Okay.
They just
they
got a
got a
kicker in the
kicker to
portal.
come in. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
good news for Ohio State fans. They have another
Thank
kicker that they can probably hate on now.
Who can kick over 50 yards. So good perk there.
I mean, what's I don't want to say too much, but what's with schools like Ohio State? I mean, I've seen other big schools struggle with
Hey,
getting
Miami
a
missed a
kicker.
kick in
Like,
this
how
game
hard is it?
too. They missed three
So
against
this is
Texas
the thing,
A&M.
and as someone
Like
who,
Michigan's a top school, even for the
yeah.
past few years, other than like this past year. So they've always had like terrible kickers. It's like, why
So
would the
the
best
big,
kickers not want to go
I
to
think
school?
part of it is that a lot of these they don't count that as a scholarship, um, not opportunity, but they don't put that as like a immediate need. So a lot of these big schools, I've seen it. A lot of these big schools would rather take a guy who is got the leg or is a developmental piece. They go out and they
They're
can
like,
develop
we'll
him.
just take a walk-on kicker because we
Exactly.
need an extra scholarship to get, this
Exactly.
four-star corner or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the NCAA in general needs to assess that now because the game is just getting more even. The playing field is getting more intense. I think having a kicker has got to become more important. We've seen it impact too many big games. This
You'd
play
think,
format
man.
now,
Yeah.
got to.
Or just the
Yeah.
coaches just need to have a set of testicles and decide to like actually go out and waste a scholarship and go get somebody. That's just the other thing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's cost Ohio State some games. It almost cost Miami a handful of games. But
I mean,
yeah,
Miami wouldn't
taking
have if you think about it. The Texas A&M Miami game, if Texas A&M just hit some kicks, this is a whole different story we're talking about right now.
hmm
This is a
Yeah.
whole different
Yeah.
world. Ohio State maybe beats Texas A&M, and then maybe you have an Ohio State versus Ole Miss. What happens to Ole Miss and Ohio State? Like it, and so that's where like I've always said, and that's why I'm a special teams coordinator at my new team. And I've made it very clear with our players. I said we're taking it seriously. I'm an Ohio State fan. I told them this. Where I'm a Ohio State fan. I've been brokenhearted more than I can count, and I'm not going to let this team happen to us. So, but no,
yeah.
continue,
Yeah.
Josh. Anyways,
Yeah. Indiana's, they got a good kicker. They got good special teams over there. They're just all around really good. And I've heard
they're
some people
old,
saying
also
that
like 25 each.
they are old.
Jeez.
We'll get into that, but As far as the program, one of the losingest, if not the losingest
They
program in
are the
college
losers.
football. Yeah. Some people are wondering if this is, the greatest Cinderella story or the greatest underdog story. And I just look at that and I'm like, they won the Big Ten. They were the number one seed.
I
They
know.
came in undefeated. I'm not going to call this a Cinderella. Cinderella would have been like what Miami did as, the two-loss
Or
10
like
seed
Ohio State
team
last year.
or Ohio State last year. Exactly. I'm not going to call it that. But as far as like
A
a
great
program
story. Yeah.
turnaround, a great story period from, just 2, 3 seasons ago to this one, how Signetti came in and just totally figure out how to win in this new era of college football. Teams like Georgia haven't been able to figure it out yet. Teams like Alabama haven't been able to figure it out yet. But with how mobile players can be right now and with what you can do with NIL money, maybe now the in-person recruiting, as important as it is, maybe it's going to be more important to have experienced guys because, like, if it's not exactly men versus boys, but when the average starter in Indiana is about the same age as the average starter on the Green Bay Packers, it kind of sounds like that. So, uh, and then again, to do that year after year is going to be the tricky part because we're not too far removed from when Florida State went undefeated in the regular season with a bunch of key transfer guys, and then the next season totally flopped and won 2 games. So we're just into, I think, we're going to go into year 3 of Signetti next year. How much can he do that? Like, how consistently can you hit on kids in the portal? We'll find that out, and then how important in-program recruiting is going to be because right now Indiana's got the second best portal class so far. They're going to be bringing in Josh Hoover, quarterback from TCU, Nick Marsh, receiver from Michigan State. They're still off to a good start right now. But again, when you bring in that many new kids, you got that many individual personalities, you got that much guys that need to adjust to the culture. So you just got to wonder about team chemistry. But the staff they got there, I trust them more than most staffs, just with how they've come together and made this work. So yeah, Indiana's a heck of a story. We'll see if anyone else even tries to replicate this, because like Ben's been saying, in-person, in-house recruiting, in-house development has been the priority for most of these teams that have dominated the last several years. Uh, I think in college basketball, we're seeing it's important to have veterans. Maybe that's going to translate to the football field, which I would have never thought. It's always been about the 4 and 5 star ratings, the kids that are going to go to the NFL.
Hmm.
And this Indiana team's probably not going to have that many first round picks. Maybe not that many NFL picks even. Uh, that's why we're so enamored with teams like LSU, right? Because you look at like Derek Stingley Jr. first rounder, Grant Delpit second rounder, Justin Jefferson first rounder, Jamar Chase first rounder, Joe Burrow first rounder, Patrick Queen either late first, early second, something like that. Just all the NFL guys that were on that team. I don't think we're going to see that with this Indiana team, but you can't deny what you saw on the field this season.
Hmm. Yeah. Thoughts, Bryce?
I don't have anything to add. I mean, other than, yeah, the whole Cinderella story and everything is a little silly. I mean, it depends what perspective you're looking at it. If you're looking at it as a program that was essentially nothing and then being amazing the next season, but I think that's more of a product of just how to elaborate more on what Josh has already been saying. I think it's just more of a product of the whole scope of things changing and develop players as you have them and keeping them, and it's just more than ever about that culture in the program and having which that can
Yeah, I
foster
agree.
that.
Yeah, the Bama teams and Georgia teams that dominated, they would dominate not only because they were bigger and
Yeah,
stronger and
four
more
or five
talented, but
stars.
the depth pieces
Yeah.
too. Like their second, third string guys were
Yep.
like that too. But now those kids want to go and play somewhere. So that's what enables a team like Indiana to go and like get some of these
Well,
guys
you
that,
look at Ohio State though
probably would be
too.
starting at a Georgia or an Alabama or an Ohio
Yeah.
State 2 years from now, but they get over to
Well,
Indiana because it's a spot that they can play immediately.
look at Ohio State. I mean, when Brian Hartline announced he was leaving, you saw how amazing of a coach he was because they hoarded wide receiver talent. And then once he took that job, you saw two receivers go to Notre Dame, which I'm like, okay, sure, go ahead, go to Notre Dame. I like not like you're gonna have much success there. And then you had other guys leave, and it's very funny to me. Like again, it shows you how much Brian Hartline really commanded like this development piece, and they wanted to be developed. And again, I'm not saying that you know High State can't keep having that, but But also, like at the end of the day, and I believe this as a coach, like I only want guys that want to be here. Like I hate when fans tell me like, oh, well, they should force him to be there. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want guys that don't want to be here. I would rather take a 3-star dude than a 4 or 5 star that's going to cause a headache in the locker room. That's one thing I love about Jeremiah Smith is that he doesn't make it above himself. It's like it's about the team. It's about how we're going to succeed. I mean, the fact that people thought he was going to transfer to Miami, I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, why would he? That's just nuts. I mean, who's his quarterback going to be next year? We still don't know who the quarterback's really going to be next year. So, but anyways, this has been a great football season. I think we all can agree, an amazing football season.
Oh
Ups
yeah,
and
this is
downs,
great.
left and right. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how next year goes. And but I think there's some more football happening here, Josh, in the next few days.
Yeah, I think this is where Bryce is going to be able to help us out a little bit more because he's been way more
About his
tuned
Eagles?
into.
Wait,
I'm more of an
what's the
NFL guy.
Eagles? I'm sorry, the Eagles. Oh
Bryce
no, they
is more of an
lost. I'm sorry.
NFL guy. Got to go ahead and give that caveat. But yeah, when we were discussing, I was chatting with Bryce about coming back on the show. He wanted to. He said as long as Josh Allen leads a heroic fourth quarter comeback, which unfortunately
Almost.
didn't happen. Uh,
Almost.
yeah, it was close enough, but yeah, I think just generally speaking, so far this is something we've been texting about, and we can go ahead and make it a conversation with Ben is the quarterback play in the playoffs so far has just
Been
been
atrocious.
so unimpressive so far. And you can look at like even guys like veterans Matt Stafford struggling to even complete half his passes, but then Caleb Williams with the three-pick game, CJ
Heck of a
Stroud's
pass
now the
though.
first
Caleb Williams, heck of a pass
that
though
one
from that.
pass though,
That was
man. Ignore the other
ridiculous.
30 that he threw, but that one, oh my gosh, dude. It's how you get kids like Anthony Richardson drafted fourth overall. Uh,
Yeah.
I digress, though. I was going to say CJ Stroud's the first player now with 5 fumbles and 5 interceptions in a single postseason. Drake May, an MVP candidate, hasn't been all that impressive. I think he's finally facing some real defenses, and his defense has been
Yeah.
bailing him out in some cases. But there's just not really been that much good quarterback play, and it's what's made these games, I think, difficult to predict, but in a way fun to watch too, because you can't really just say yeah, that they got the better quarterback, they're going to win. There's a lot more that goes into these games, and I don't know if people have been loving it or hating it, but yeah, what have you been? What you had any guesses on the way that quarterback play has been, Bryce? My kind of take is there's a lot of younger guys. There's a lot of these games being played in cold weather environments. I think that might have something to do with it because CJ's playing in a dome in Texas. He's had to go to Pittsburgh. He's had to go to New England. Uh, just situations like that. But I'll turn it over to you and see what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the weather actually has a pretty big factor. I mean, at least in the divisional round, everything was like snowing or raining or something. Um, Other than in Seattle. But yeah, the quarterback and bad. I don't really know what the real issue is. I think we've probably talked about over the past couple of years through texting and stuff. Is just seems like the overall play in the NFL has just been declining worse and worse and worse,
It's
and it's just
boring.
kind of unfortunate. Yeah, this playoffs has been incredibly exciting. Um, I think so, Josh. I mean, do you think the playoffs has been very entertaining
The
so
games
far?
that
Or
I've been able to sit down and watch have been the Rams and the Panthers, which that one went pretty back and forth. It looked like the Rams were gonna,
Mhm.
run away with it, and then Carolina made a game out of it. The Bears come back against the Packers. That was another one that I was just like, man, this is gonna get out of hand here in the second half, and then the Bears come back and win that one. We have the overtime game with the Broncos and the Bills, and as bad as Josh Allen played, that was still a competitive game. Uh, when I watched the Steelers and the Texans, that was very one-sided scoring, but it was mostly by the Houston Texans defense, which I think added a layer of excitement to that one. And then the
yeah, when you bring
Rams,
up defense, I mean,
yeah, there's been a lot
I
of
was going
good
to say, I
defense
mean,
performances. The Rams
yeah.
game with Chicago was really really fun to watch too. That was tight. That was close. Uh, Really, the only I think boring game probably was the 49ers Seahawks game this weekend. That one ended, what was it, 41-6, something like that.
That's the only one I haven't watched so far, and I'm glad I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
So,
and I know the guys in the locker room post game for San Fran were saying, that's what happens when you don't have George Kittle playing. But I know they had some injuries, but it's like I think it was a little more than George Kittle missing
oh,
that you
their
lost
whole
that bad.
defense was banged up.
Yeah.
even against Philly, their whole defense. I mean, that's why I was extra upset that we lost to the Niners. I knew this Eagles team ultimately wasn't going to win the Super Bowl. I didn't have them. It's just too dysfunctional, even though I think all the pieces are there to win. But yeah, when we lost to the Niners, I was like, why? They have nobody. Their
Yeah.
linebacker core is like third strings. It's
Yeah. 49ers just have not been able to catch breaks with health that much these last several
no.
years. But yeah, it's been really fun defensive performances. Ben, do you have anything to chime in with
Uh,
the way the quarterbacks have been?
you know how much I love the NFL.
You don't believe in Caleb Williams yet?
I don't, I don't, I don't,
One of my
I
best friends
don't
down here is a
believe,
Bears fan, and he
I don't
texted me
believe
and
in
he's like,
like,
"Do you believe in Caleb Williams yet?"
You
I
believe
don't
in
really
Caleb
believe,
Williams yet?
I
Oh my
really don't
gosh, man.
believe in anything that's the NFL. I'm sorry. Listen, once the Browns lose, I don't really care anymore. No, I, to me, like, I guess
So
I'm
you
more
never
like,
care.
I really don't know. Well, I loved when the Eagles lost because my coworkers, I could just annoy the crap out of them at school. And then they asked me, why can I annoy them? I'm like, because I'm a Browns fan. I have every right to. Um, no, but now, I mean, I'm kind of pulling, I was pulling for the Texans because of CJ, but now I'm really pulling for the Seahawks. I think with Jackson Smith and Jigba and just the year he's had and just the person he is, and I look and that seems like the one team right now that seems like they've got it kind of ticking on every little meter, I guess you would say. And I think they have a very favorable matchup against the Rams. And in my case, I think that they might have the best chance to go win it all, especially with these other teams seem to have little struggles here and there. You look at the Patriots. The offense sometimes can look a little out, even though they have some amazing jerseys, by the way. But especially like the alternates. But I digress. Yeah, I would say the Patriots have a good shot at it. I think, but yeah, really for me, it's just been the impressive wins by the Seahawks, the win by Seahawks, especially putting up the points they did, even against a beat up defense. Still, it's impressive, and so yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens and where it kind of goes from here.
The other story, at least of this weekend, has been, of course, what is a catch? That conversation seems to come up time and again
Yeah.
with how the rules are. And I think everybody's been pointing to, I think it was Devontae Adams in the Rams game and Brandon Cooks in the Bills game, and how it was seemingly the same play two times, and one got one ruling and one got the other. I actually saw Joe Burrow chimed in on Twitter and said that it's crazy how most people don't really understand the rules and thinks that both of them got called right. I'm sure you guys have seen both of those
Hmm.
clips, and I'm just curious if you guys think that these are plays that got officiated correctly, or if they just add to the confusion on what catches are in
I don't
this
think we know.
league.
I don't even think we know what the rules are anymore of
We
anything.
don't really know what
I
targeting is in college football, and we don't really know what a
I
catch is in the NFL.
I don't. By the way, I just got a
Mhm.
notification that Alberto Mendoza just signed with Georgia Tech. Funny, kind of interesting spot to find. But anyways, back to where we were talking about. But what I mean by that is, like, seriously, man, I don't know what is a catch anymore. I don't know what a fumble is anymore. I don't know what these things are because it seems like every year there's a slight change in how they talk about it, how they rule it, how they're like, well, now, well, his knee was slightly touching the air of grass above the grass. I don't know.
Whether or not you're in the end zone or on the sideline seems to
I
make a
just
difference.
and then the
It's like the
fact that they
camera angles even add more
oh
confusion. It's like
well,
Yeah.
but the thing is, but even
like
when
we can see it.
they review it or they review something and they're like, it's obvious to all of us at home that it's a catch, and they're like, there is inconclusive evidence, and I'm like, I'm sorry, there was pretty conclusive evidence what we saw at home. So for me, I don't know. I just think that there's a bunch of buffoons that are up, getting paid a lot of money to just tell us what we should think or what we shouldn't think. Um, I also believe that the Bills shouldn't have fired their coach. I don't think it was his fault that that's what happened. I think
Yeah, that was crazy.
Josh Allen actually played an absolutely atrocious game, and now you're telling it's your coach's fault. Okay, and then promote your
Yeah.
GM. Okay, but that's besides the point. I just think that, again, going back to the rules, I think there needs to be this offseason needs to be a very clear written statements for everyone to understand, both officials and players and coaches. That's my thoughts.
Well, I think we need to. Who's the rules analyst guy? Ian Sterator
Oh,
or
he's an
something like
idiot.
that. We
He's
Gene
need
an
to bring
idiot.
him on
Steratore.
to. We need to bring him on to review your opinion on that.
Yeah, he would tell me it's
It's funny that we
inconclusive.
bring in guys every time to explain the same thing over and over and over. It's just,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, as
Ridiculous.
far as the one that went for Josh Allen and the Bills, I mean, if you're watching it in slow-mo, I mean, it does appear that he's still in possession. He has a knee down or whatever, and then do you just stop it there? But then, okay, then they bring in the next thing is, well, it's about the full process,
Making a
So then it
football
comes from,
move and yeah, controlling the
yeah, and
whole
it's like,
all
okay,
the
so
whole
when does
process.
the play stop? What's the definitive rule? Like, does it
Hmm.
stop right there in that frame when
Well,
the knee's down, the ball's
I thought it was
handed?
done once your knee touches and the guy's touching you. That means you're down in the NFL. So then
Mhm.
where are we arguing with it then? You know, again,
The other
we have
argument
no
I've seen
idea.
people making with that one is if had there not been a corner there and the ball would have like been juggled out of his hand, it would have been ruled an incomplete pass. But the fact that somehow the corner was there made it that it was a catch and a fumble. I don't
I don't
know.
know, man. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, I don't like the to jump on the wagon. The script things are scripted, but
I
maybe
do.
sometimes somebody makes a call and those kinds of things happen. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think outcomes are necessarily decided, but I do think things can happen in games where they can try and sway certain outcomes to try and happen. I mean, same
Yeah.
thing, just kicking the can down the road, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. All that to say though, we should have some. We got a wrench thrown in one of the games. Let's start with the AFC one because Bo Nix is out for the rest of the playoffs, and it's hard to tell which play exactly he hurt himself on when you watch that game. I guess it was the last one where they
Yeah.
went to the center of the field to make the kick, and he rolled his ankle or sprained it on that play. But we're gonna have Jarrett Stidham taking his first like in-game snaps, I think, in over 2 seasons, going against his former team, the New England Patriots. We're gonna see Drake May who has had record easy schedule in the regular
Oh
season,
yeah.
getting all the breaks in the playoffs, like going against the Chargers who
Yep.
can't block anybody, and then he gets to face CJ Stroud having, his multi-turnover
And still
half.
about lost the game, by the way. And they still about lost the game.
Yeah, yeah,
without
because he's not
without
doing
Nico
anything to win.
Collins,
Without Nico
Schultz
Collins,
Schultz got
yeah.
hurt right away.
Yeah, Drake has been
Yeah, it's
very
like everything's
unimpressive this
been handed to
postseason.
him.
Very unimpressive this
Watch,
postseason.
he's
Finally playing some real
he's probably
teams.
gonna get MVP too.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it could be. Like if they're waiting to see how him and Stafford's postseason goes before they make a vote. Right now it's kind of an interesting debate. I'd go Stafford just because he's beaten a lot better teams. I think his numbers have been slightly better. But that's a to stay on topic here. Yeah, Drake has had such an easy path to get here. He's been struggling in the playoffs, facing real teams, and he's going to face another good defense here at the Broncos. But of course, Stidham being the starter here could be that extra thing where it's like he can't keep getting away with this. You know the Jesse Pinkman clip. He can't keep getting away with this, like getting all these breaks to get to the easiest Super Bowl path of all time. But we'll just start there with that one. And I think that's pretty much the story of both of these teams is Bo Nix to me was not that impressive in the regular season anyways. Certainly
Yeah.
someone that's been getting consistent reps, but incredible defense over there in Denver. And with New England, at least, we're finding out at least that that defense is legit going against teams like the Chargers, teams like the Texans. But uh, we'll see if Drake can handle, going against one more good defense. And this could be a really incredibly low scoring game, especially if we get
Mhm.
snow out in Denver, which is always a possibility. But yeah, I'll turn it over to Brice first, being more in tune with the NFL to tell us just thoughts on how he thinks this game's going to go.
And the prediction, of course.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. I've been really baffled by the AFC this year. I was really hoping this wouldn't be the outcome. I didn't think the Patriots were going to make it because I thought they've been literally the most rated. What are they, two seed?
Yeah.
Um, in recent years ever, just because of their schedule. I haven't been impressed with Drake. I'm still not impressed with Drake. If he wins the MVP, I'd be laughing. Um,
Like here we are. This is where
but
the
yeah,
NFL's at.
yeah. So we Denver, we have New England. I'm gonna take Denver at home, even without Bo Nix, because I think this team is winning because of that defense. Up home with that elevation. Um, but I really don't care. I've said all year, I think champions coming out of the NFC. I think the NFC play has just been superior over any AFC team this year. And yeah, I do agree with Ben too. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be one of those like 24-20 Denver kind of things. I don't really know what to predict as far as like how I think it's going to go, what it's going to look like. I'm not going to be surprised by any outcome. I did think it was funny how Nick Foles put a tweet out to how do you pronounce his last name?
Stidham,
Stidham
Stidham,
Jared
yeah.
Stidham.
for it. He's like that. He was telling, "Don't worry, the Patriots have a weakness against backup quarterbacks in championship
It's phenomenal.
occasion games." Something I'm
Fantastic.
paraphrasing, but it's something along the lines,
Yeah.
which which was funny. Although Nick Foles' story was a little different. As an Eagles fan, I always like to talk about it. Nick Foles will always have a place in my heart. I mean, he did it. Carson Wentz went out before the playoff even started, and I was like, "Well, not going to win the Super Bowl, but it's going to be fun knowing that we're in the playoffs." And of course, he goes on to do this historic thing. So the comparison's not really the same, but I thought it was funny how Foles gave him that shout out. So I'm a guy who loves good stories, especially in the NFL, and I hope Denver wins. Just think it's a better story. But yeah, that's really my take on that game. I'm unimpressed. I think Denver as a whole has been unimpressive all season. I mean, so many games that they won were like last second kind of things. Things went their way, even when they played
They
the Eagles
were
early on in the
ugly,
season.
dude,
Like, come
against the Raiders on Thursday Night
yeah,
Football. I can remember. Just like, what is going on, dude? Why can't they do
yeah.
anything
I'm gonna
this
call it the ugly. This is ugly bowl. This AFC Championship. Let's just call it the ugly bowl. The
The one
ugliest
and
team
two seed meeting in the Ugly
wins.
Bowl.
Yeah. So
No, I'm with
go
you though.
Denver. I have.
I'm actually I think there might not even be 25 total points scored in this one. I'm actually kind of leaning Denver also to the tune of 13 to 10. But
Yeah.
what are you thinking, Ben?
There's something about
He's gonna go
my
Trevion Henderson.
no, I see. I would do that if I believed in, and that's the thing is, there's a bunch of Buckeyes on that team. But no, I believe that in the playoffs, you know, emotions are a mile high, and I just believe that. I don't know
Mile
about that.
high.
There we
Ah,
go. At least you got that joke. Josh didn't get it. How terrible of you.
missed
Um,
it.
anyways, I think Drake May is always just like it's just been a weird thing for me to watch him. I just don't quite get his game quite, but I just think the Broncos, like, it's one of those things when you lose your quarterback, it's like you as a team, you want to kind of come together to ride it out together, and I think that's what the Broncos will do. And I had the score, I wrote it down today. I have it a score of 19-9. I don't know why I chose 19-9, but we're going with 19-9. I don't know how they get to 19. Maybe a safety in there. I don't know, but we're going 19-9. Denver, they make it into the Super Bowl for the first time since Peyton Manning era.
We also need the Stefan Diggs photo of him watching Denver celebrate again because that's just like a playoff tradition at this
It
point.
is.
So
It
Yeah.
is.
just with it switching teams and missing it again, by a game, I'd be here for it. But more so just so that New England can't get to the Super Bowl with basically the easiest run. And I know they can only play the teams that are in front of them, but it's still just annoying. Uh, it makes me hate New England again. I went through a period where Tom Brady left
Yeah.
and was like, you know what, I can let these guys win. It's cool to see them win without him, and this would bring me back to like that level of like, oh my gosh, man, here we go again. But yeah, we're all unanimous on
Yeah, we
Denver
need to
at
get
least.
Diggs out of there. He's got some legal stuff he needs to take care of too. So
Yeah,
That's true.
get a little earlier
sooner he
start
gets
on.
out of playoffs,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But yeah, I think the NFC game is the one that's going to be the more exciting one. And these are two
Oh yeah.
teams with the Rams and the Seahawks that have faced each other twice this year already. Um, Bryce and I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl at the start of this postseason. Ben, I think, at least had the Seahawks coming out of the
I
NFC. I don't know
did.
if that was his champ
I did.
for the Super Bowl, but yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see in discussion if we're both feeling still good about our initial prediction, which I still am. Part of what went into my Rams pick was the fact that they've scored more points than anybody. And of course, we just talked about how quarterback play doesn't really mean anything this postseason because everyone's been bad. So that's an interesting wrench to throw in here. Also, it's just like how much do we trust Sam Darnold? Was another one because, of course, with the run that he made with Minnesota, did really well in the regular season, folded late, and then played a really bad playoff game. But at least with the 49er one, you're off to a great start so far with defeating that narrative. Uh, so that's just, I guess, some initial thoughts on the game going into it. I think, Bryce, correct me if I'm wrong, they split the regular season series, right? Rams got one, Seahawks got one.
Believe so, yeah.
I'll double check that and fact check myself and turn it over to you just with thoughts and prediction for how you think this game will shape up.
Yeah, I think you and I had conversations about this already, maybe text, but I don't think Sam Darnold. I'm not surprised that the Seahawks are in the NFC Championship. I knew it was a thing. I had the Eagles. I did think the Eagles had the pieces to get there. I mean, I think they still do. But again, dysfunctions there didn't work out. AJ Brown purposely gave up on the team. But I forgot we're talking about Seahawks and Rams here. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't believe in Sam Darnold to do it. That's pretty much the sole reason, not the sole reason, but the main reason I'm taking the Rams over the Seahawks. And actually, week one, I had Bills over Rams for the postseason. I switched my pick over to Rams over Bills. Bills obviously aren't there, but I'm sticking with the Rams. I don't Sam Darnold can. I think he's just a system guy. I think at Seattle, it's the defensive narrative, like it was in college, has been the same thing after this season. The better defenses are winning, um, and I think the Rams and the Seahawks are pretty evenly matched everywhere. But I do think the Rams are the more complete team, where they can just bring in Blake Corum and Kyle Williams. All their tight ends, Parkinson, and what's the other one?
Higby.
My name slipped in my head. Higby, yeah, like they're healthy now, and their a system is built around manipulating the field with tight end play. Just there's no reason for the Lambs to lose, and I would have said the same thing about trying to justify Ohio State winning another Natty. I still don't think there was reason Ohio State should have lost anything they did. I think way Rams. I think they're the Ohio State of the NFL. There's just no reason that team can't. I mean, the way they're performing every and put these points, their worst enemy can only be themselves. If Stafford throws some stupid pick, or it's almost like they have so many. When you're watching them fall, it's like they have so many options, but they can only do 3 plays a drive. They don't know what to do. So if they go 3 and out, it's like, well, try this, try that. By the time the end of the game comes, I think they've usually figured it out. They've had some close, crazy ones though. Seattle, they're good, but they just had Charbonnet go down. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
So they're stuck with just Kenneth Walker, which I think that combo is actually a huge secret to their success that not enough people talk about. So they're going to be without that. Again, I'm not impressed with Sam Darnold. I mean, what has he done that's special besides give the ball to Njigba and he does the magic? So Rams are talented enough to shut him down, and I think the Rams handle the game start to finish pretty handily. I'm going to go like, give me 35,
Hmm.
28 kind of thing. It's going to be close, but I think it's going to look closer than what it really is. I think the
Yeah.
Rams handedly win it, go to the Super Bowl.
If you want to know how evenly matched these teams have been, at least in the regular season, the first meeting the Rams won 21-19 by 2. Second meeting the Seahawks won in overtime 38-37. So
Hmm.
I I wonder what this third matchup's going to look like. If we're going to get another overtime game, if we're going to get another game decided by less than 3 points. What do you say, Ben?
I got to stick with my gut, and my gut tells me I think the Seahawks are going to kind of find their way in this game. I think, you know, yeah, you lost your running back, but again, I think it's just the way that offensively they've played all year. Again, defense, their defense, I don't think it's as good as the Rams' defense. I think the Rams might have a slightly better defense. Um, but again, that Rams team is really good offensively. I actually believe this is going to be kind of a high scoring game. I think it's going to be like kind of the opposite of the other game. And I think this game is going to be a really fun game to watch. And I wrote down today, I have Seattle 34, I have Rams 27 as my final.
I'm going with the close game in this one too, and I do think there will be significantly more points than the AFC game. Sticking with my gut too on this one. Uh, I'll just say the score first. I think that we'll get Rams. Give me Rams 31 to 30. I'll make it 1 point once again. Uh, Other things to factor in, of course, this is at Seattle, hard home environment
Hmm.
to play in. But yeah, when it comes to the postseason right now, I do trust Stafford a little bit more than Sam Darnold ultimately. I like the selection of weapons that Stafford has a little bit more. I think the
Sure.
Rams have been tested a little more in the regular season for moments like this, why they don't have as great of a record as the Seahawks, but still an impressive one nonetheless. Uh, yeah, this should be a fun one. But yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think we'll get a good amount of points in this one. Uh, and like I
Yeah, I
said,
think we'll
as
come
bad as
back
the
to this
court,
one and oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was going to say, I think we'll come back to this one, see why Stafford wins the MVP
Yeah, I mean this is the game
when
that
it's
like
this one.
has to solidify that, right? Like if Drake even wins the AFC Championship and plays poorly, and Stafford wins this one and looks good, then that's got to be the deciding factor here. But yeah,
Mhm.
give me Rams in this one. I'm going to stick with them. It wouldn't shock me if Seattle won. I can definitely see a path for the Seahawks winning, but yeah, I'm going to stick with the Rams for now and believe in them for all the reasons that I did to start the playoffs.
Yeah, sure. I would be shocked if the Rams lose. I'm pretty confident in the completeness of that team.
Yeah. All right, Ben. What else do we got to discuss today? Do we want to discuss some NFL coaching moves that have been going on? Because we do have a couple hires that have
How
been
the
made.
Browns don't know how to hire freaking anyone. Jeez, I'm sorry.
I don't think many coaches worth anything are going to want to go to the
It's going to be
situation, and that's in
Schwartz.
Cleveland.
You know it's going to be Schwartz.
They
We
They're
can
all
going to
get
know it's
have to
going
Kevin
to be
promote from
Patullo.
Schwartz.
within.
They can get Kevin Patullo.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, they're going to have to give someone either like a that was awful, a second shot, or they're going to have to promote from within.
They're
But
either going to hire that 30-year-old from the Bears, or they're going to hire Schwartz,
the
who's like
Jags.
60. Sorry, the Jags, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The Browns are still going to suck next year,
Well, the
anyways.
guys they can't hire now are of course John Harbaugh. He just got hired by the Giants. I think the Titans, I think it's official
Yeah.
now. They hired Robert
Yes.
Salah,
Yep.
and the Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley, which
Which is the dumbest.
interesting
Which, by
coaching
the way,
hires.
let me read this. By the way, this let me read this text I got. So I coach with a guy who is a big Dolphins fan. Let me read what he wrote. I said,
Okay.
"Hey, I saw the news. What do you think about this? Former Buckeye coach being, the coach of the Dolphins?" And he says, "Yeah, we are super excited about him. Definitely didn't want to try to go out and get Harbaugh, McDermott, Tomlin, or I don't know, even a Shulo descendant. Wouldn't want to do that. So instead, we get the guy who no one really wanted in the first place."
Well, let me
How'd
argue
you get
that
there?
because the Miami Dolphins have had a Mike Tomlin-like coach with Brian
I
Flores,
know,
and they
I
hated him
know.
and fired him, even though they were winning games, in spite of Tua Tagovailoa being their quarterback. Uh, Harbaugh, yeah, they're. I guess you like the quarterback situation with Jackson Dart and the amount of picks that they got over there and potential more. Whereas the Dolphins might be on the end of a run and have to start a rebuild. The Giants are already got their rebuild underway. Uh, McDermott, yeah, very very nice teams that he's had over there. This is probably the worst supporting cast Josh Allen has had, and they still made it this far into the playoffs.
Hmm.
But Hafley has had an interesting path because, of course, he starts off as a really good defensive coordinator at Ohio State, gets a head coaching job at Boston College from that, uh, does terrible there. It's hard to win at Boston College regardless,
Was
but
done with the recruiting. It's
yeah,
like I'm done
but
with this.
was you figure like if he didn't quit and took the Bear or not the Bears, the Packers defense coordinator job, he might have eventually been fired, and we'd never be talking about him being a head coach again. But
Hmm.
instead, yeah, leaps to the NFL, takes a coordinator job, which you could say is a demotion from a head coach or a promotion because it's in the pros now, whichever way you want to look at it. And now he's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins because of how good he called plays with the Packers. And I like to hire. I just think it's interesting how that decision that he made to like temporarily demote, if you look at it that way, had led to him spring loading into being an NFL head coach now, where he might have been dead in the water as a head coach if Boston College fired him.
Yeah, I would just say that the Browns, whoever they get, I mean, I'm looking at that draft class, by the way, for 2027 draft class, and I'm like, if I'm the Browns, hey, I'm not all for tanking, okay? I've been the most proponent of don't tank. But listen, if there was any year to tank and to somehow just get a bunch of picks, if we can somehow do that, next year the first 15 picks are going to be like future superstars in the NFL. So I'm just saying, Browns, don't worry about it this year. If you don't like the coach, don't like any options, fine. Next year we'll just fire and get a new one. That's what we do anyways. So why not try it again?
We fired a coach after a year before, but yeah, speaking of coaches too in Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski actually got
Oh,
hired
geez.
again, which I was
How?
surprised that he not only interviewed, I think, with every team that had an opening, but yeah, goes to the Falcons,
Which
who
someone
have
said
a
that. Which someone said that's a terrible. Like there's Falcons fans saying we went from a guy who could barely win games to a guy who didn't win any games last 2 years, and who
well,
couldn't
even
manage a quarterback.
even the fit, like if you're expecting Michael Penix to be your future quarterback and still work on him, of course, the regime that took him is gone now, and they might move on from that. That kind of seemed like an experiment, anyways, from the start. It's just like Kevin has proven that he can't work with young quarterbacks. He
No,
hated Baker Mayfield and got the worst out of him.
take
And
Deshaun. Take Deshaun. Do whatever you can. Just take Deshaun.
dude, if we could trade him over there, please. But yeah, that's gonna be an interesting fit how that goes. And it's funny seeing the discourse, at least on Twitter, of one side saying that remember when Cleveland fans said that this guy wouldn't get a second look ever again or something like that, and instead he interviews for every job. And it's like if he does good in Atlanta, it's like that would be one of the craziest hindsight moments. Is like, yeah, maybe it really was more Andrew Berry than it was Kevin Stefanski. It's hard to win when your boss gives you the roster that he did
Well, it's
and the
also hard
quarterback
to win when
situation that he
it's hard
did,
when
but
you
still,
win. You don't believe in the most talented quarterback in your room. I'm sorry. When you put
yeah,
Dylan Gabriel out there for 7 games, that's a problem.
yeah, yeah. It was a this
Who's the
season I
most
would
talented in the room?
Uh,
You
Joe
guys have
Flacco.
talent in that QB?
Joe Flacco, and then they
Okay.
cut him.
Yeah.
yeah, that's because this season we was all about seeing what you had with the young guys. It was never about trying to compete with Joe Flacco again. So I get that move. This season I don't really hold against Kevin as much as I do the other ones.
Yeah. Mm.
I was really in Cleveland to get Harbaugh. I thought the stars were
Oh,
aligning for
dude, if
that,
that
and
if that
he was
happened,
even making comments about how he wanted to.
if that would have happened, I would literally have been going to school and just chanting "We love Jim." I probably would have been doing that literally in the school building. I would have been like, "This is phenomenal. This is the greatest moment of my Browns fandom life." Really, it is. But
Hiring
of
John
course not.
Harbaugh would make Ben chant "We love Jim."
Yeah, and and then at the end of that, still say, "I still hate John," though.
You flip-flopped
And
him up. You see what you did there?
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I know what I did. I will say though, if we can't get that, can we at least get Travis Kelsey? I mean, he was a former Browns fan. I'm just saying, let's get him out of KC, trade him for Njoku. You know,
We can't do that, dude, because then Cleveland's going to be all about Taylor Swift. The product on the field is going to be so bad that they're going to have to defer the attention somewhere else. I would not stand for that. There's
you
been
don't
so
want
many
to.
things that should have been the nail in the coffin in my Browns fandom, and I should have jumped ship and rooted for somebody else. But that would definitely be the final straw right there.
Just for the ticket sales.
Oh,
That's
geez.
Yeah,
what they're looking
But
for.
don't worry, they've already screwed me over with never having an outdoor stadium again after 2030. So that's already pissed me
yeah,
off.
yeah. The outdoor stadiums with the snow and the weather and everything is postseason what football is all supposed to be about. And instead, in a few years, it's just going to be all lifeless domes. It's going to be boring.
Yeah.
Except Green Bay.
I would hope that Green Bay, holds 10 toes down on the fact that, that's the home, the Ice Bowl. That's the home of so many iconic
I think
snow
it should be
photos.
required that we play every Super Bowl at the Lambeau Field just to have the snow experience for every Super Bowl.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? Yeah, I don't think there's much more to talk about. I think we've covered the football talk, which is kind of crazy to me. That football's
Hmm.
almost over, guys. It's sad. It's a sad
Just a
time in
couple
our
more weeks
lives.
left.
And
Less than
then
a
we're
month
done.
left.
And then we're done. Then we have to
Then the
wait 6
Daytona
months.
500.
Oh, geez,
Oh, nobody's excited for
Boogity,
it.
boogity, boys.
you sound so southern right there.
Let's
Dear
go
Lord.
racing.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Bryce is
goodness.
right
Okay,
down
I'll
there,
admit, I
close
do
to
watch
NASCAR country.
NASCAR.
Okay,
I do
why am
watch
I gonna
quite a bit
watch?
of NASCAR, but
Why
it's
am I
only
gonna
for
watch?
fantasy
Listen,
reasons.
why am I gonna
Fantasy
watch
reasons.
cars for 3 hours drive in circles? It makes no sense to me. At least with F1, they go in zigzags. At least there's a little bit of zigzagging, a little bit of somewhat
Again,
turns.
I watch it for fantasy. I'm in a league with some like fantasy, or I'm
Okay,
sorry, some
first off,
NASCAR diehards,
why
and
there's
I'm not a
fantasy
diehard.
NASCAR is beyond me. Is a whole other thing. But awesome, I guess.
So I keep winning though. So the fantasy league, I keep winning. So and I don't even know. I couldn't name half of the NASCAR drivers if I tried.
Neither could I, to be honest with you. Um,
So on a side note, am I gonna get any UFC questions here? What the heck? What's going on here? I'm just kidding.
Um, why not?
New Paramount deal?
I'll shoot you a couple. Yeah, I was just gonna ask you about that. If you ended up going with the Paramount Plus package that UFC is offering now, if it's worth the money in your eyes.
So funny enough, it's super cheap. It's still super cheap, but the prices just shot up on the 15th. So if you didn't get it now, it's like $30 more. But you could still get the like annual premium service, right? I think like 130, 150 bucks. And that's the best option you can get. There's cheaper options, but even with that, there are some options that you can get that might have like ads, or maybe only like one user can use the screen at a time. You can still pay, you're going to still spend less on a year subscription than you would for like one or two pay-per-views for the entire year that you would on EPN. So, I mean, if you're a UFC fan, like you're an idiot not to buy, even if you use streaming sites, totally illegal with streaming sites.
Hmm.
Uh, like, why not just pay a little bit of money that you'd pay just regularly, like one pay per view, and just get all of UFC Fight Nights pay per views all for free under that streaming service? Not technically for free, but and get the better quality, get great coverage. The Paramount Plus stuff looks awesome. I'm even already what they've already done by loading up like the entire UFC history onto the streaming site. You can watch everything, and it's for a fan, it's a really good, great thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, goodbye ESPN. I'm tired of ESPN. So
Yeah. Is the Paramount Plus broadcast gonna have like the normal guys like DC and Rogan on there, or is that gonna still be on the?
as far as I know, all the same guys. I mean, they've announced commentators. There's a huge. They're doing back to back numbered cards. I guess we can't call them pay-per-views anymore since we're not and then PPVs. I'll just do it for the sake of clarity. It's easier to just say PPVs. But yeah,
Hmm.
they're doing back-to-back weeks of pay-per-views um, to like get it kicked off, which would be pretty exciting. But as far as I know, all the same staff, all the same guys. I don't think they would have done the deal if they didn't get to already keep their
Hmm.
staff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you see like at least with the NFL, all the different platforms that try to broadcast games, and they just like some of them just aren't good at it. So I'm glad that Paramount's at least sticking with, the main guys here with this one. And we do have a title fight this weekend. So I'll just ask you, I think a lot of people are excited about Paddy Pimblett. Even if you're not a UFC fan, you've definitely seen clips on social media. This guy, just the accent, the weird haircut, and everything, going against Justin Gaethje, who's been, just a staple in that lightweight division. I think it could be a fun fight. If your guys are looking, to cash in on that Paramount deal, this would be a heck of a fight, I think, to start off with. Uh, Patty seemed like maybe one of those guys initially that could just be an internet gimmick, like what Sean O'Malley might have been. But I mean, O'Malley's on this card too, and he's got a pretty good fight on it, and
Yeah.
he's had a pretty good career so far. He's held the belt at one point, but could this be the time where Patty basically cements himself as a real deal fighter?
If he wins, he'll be considered a real deal because, like you said, he's kind of had that cupcake kind of journey to get here, just like similar to how O'Malley did. O'Malley had some fights go his way that shouldn't against Peter Yan, who's actually now the champion. Speaking of O'Malley, I hope he wins his fight against Yadong because I would love to see him rematch Peter Yan, who's just beat fresh off of beating Dvalishvili and took the title. Because I'd love to see that rematch. I'd love to see Peter Yan beat O'Malley because he got robbed last time. But
Yeah,
besides
that was
that was the
crazy. I
question.
remember that.
It was wild, and that's kind of what burst O'Malley onto the scene. And good for him. I guess it was good for the UFC and brought in a bunch of fans. But Peter Yan is the one with the belt now, so I really hope he gets that rematch. I hope O'Malley wins this week just for that storyline. But yeah, Patty again. He's fought these boomers, looking not boomers, but older fighters like Bobby Green and stuff like that. And even Gaethje is kind of on his way out. He said this would be his last fight. And it's sad because Gaethje's one of the last kind of guys like Dustin Poirier was, who I was a big fan of, kind of last generation. And it's just sad to see them kind of retiring now and going out. So I actually kind of hope Gaethje goes out and wins. Say the older guys can do it. I think he has more power than Pimblett. Pimblett's got a chin. Pimblett can grapple, but Gaethje's great at not getting taken down, defending. Um, it's gonna be a 5-round stand-up fight. I haven't seen Pimblett's cardio have to go that long. I've seen Gaethje do it. I mean, I'm leaning towards Gaethje, but it'll be good for the UFC too if Pimblett wins. We need some of those newcomers to be kind of become the face because there's just not a lot of exciting people coming up right now that get me excited. So still gonna be mad if Pimblett wins, but I'm taking Gaethje just because of his experience and his power and his cardio and ability to stuff the takedowns. But yeah, it's starting with a bang. I'm a little disappointed because the second fight was going to be Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison, which was supposed to be the greatest female matchup of all time. But the UFC was like running tests on the fighters as they do before major fights, seeing if they're to fight, and something wrong with her neck, and she had to have surgery, Kayla Harrison, so she had to pull out. So that fight's going to be postponed. Maybe it'll go to the White House or something like that later in the year. I'd love to come in and talk about that. That'll be exciting.
The White House card,
Um,
yeah, that should be a great event.
yeah, they're supposed to like at least six title fights or something like that. So that'll be interesting. They're supposed to walk out from the Oval Office, and they're actually outdoors on the lawn of the White House. So
Dang,
that'll be pretty cool.
that will be pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, and then the next week we got Alexander Volkanovski. The week after, Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez are rematching, which they had an awesome fight. So two great back-to-back cards with some awesome. If you're a UFC fan, get Paramount Plus. It's worth it. You don't have to worry about buffering on your totally legal streams and bad quality. So.
Yeah, I think that I'm probably going to buy into this because what's kept me from going all in on the UFC is just sometimes the time that these fights are and just yeah, trying to figure out how to watch them too. And this kind of
Well,
fixes
speaking of time,
most of that.
one major was the pay-per-views always start so late at 10. It's still late, but they're actually doing them at 9 now, Eastern time. Sorry, man. Not sure when it is there for
I mean,
UFC
that'd be
usually.
3
Probably
a.m.
during the day.
So it's 3 a.m. It'll be
Okay.
3 a.m. my time. So
So you won't be staying till 1:30 or 2 in the morning Eastern time anymore. More like, probably end around midnight, I would assume. So that's
That's good.
another reason to interest. But yeah.
That is another good selling point. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to throw in predictions just because I've been a little out of my UFC fandom lately. But of course, Gaethje's a name that you always hear, and the lightweight division has been so fun the last several years with guys like him
Oh
and
yeah.
Oliveira and
It's the
Michael
best.
Chandler, and yeah, and Poirier was in that one, of course, too. But yeah, if this is the end for Gaethje, then yeah, it would be good for the league to have a guy like Pimblett that's got a pretty good following to take over that weight division right there. But
Yeah, and to bring up, it's actually an interim title fight. It's not an actual like for the actual belt. Uh, Ilia Topuria still holds the actual belt. They're just dealing with like legal stuff right now with a
oh, okay.
divorce and his wife, all that stuff. Anyways, I still don't fully understand what the interim belt is. I don't even know if the UFC does. It's kind of like almost trying to explain ref call and NFL earlier. It's like kind of has that confusing aura to it. But basically, you're the champion, but you're not the champion. But you're like guaranteed fights champion in the unification title fight. So it's like a fake title fight in a
Yeah.
sense. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that makes sense. Thanks for the clarification there. Uh,
yeah. And speaking of Oliveira, you brought up, he's actually fighting Max Holloway for the BMF title, I believe, in March, which should be pretty exciting too.
the BMF, yeah.
Hmm.
I love that they do that fight. Get some OGs
Yeah,
out there
it's kind of
together.
got a weird WWE entertainment element to it, but it's fun for the
Hmm.
I mean, it's
fans.
the same company that owns WWE, so it's the
Yeah,
same
you're right.
company.
Yeah,
So
Zupa Entertainment. Yeah,
TKO still owns WWE as well now. So,
yeah.
but yeah, we did get some UFC fight talk with
Wasn't
him. I
expecting it,
know,
but that was actually a good time to
and
bring that up with the fight that's coming up this weekend and the new
yeah,
TV deal that they got.
and I do know that we'll have my brother on, and if probably closer to the summer because he's going to be coming on to talk about the World Cup that's going to be happening in the
Ooh,
United
I love the
States.
World
So
Cup.
yeah, so my brother will be
One of my
on to talk
favorite
about
things.
that. So he'll still be 2 appearances behind you for your record. So don't worry, you're still quite intact with your record. But yeah, so thank you guys all for
Winter
watching and for
Olympics.
listening. Winter
Winter
Olympics is
Olympics
too,
too.
which we do need to figure out when we're going to talk about that.
I
Um,
love Winter Olympics. Hockey is probably like top five sports
oh, it's
events to watch
curling.
for
It's
me.
curling.
Hmm.
Don't even get it wrong,
Curling's
Bryce.
good
It's
too,
curling.
but
What grown men can be curling? That's a great question to put down in the comments today. Is which sport in the Winter Olympics are you looking forward to? Let us know in the comments. And also, if you've loved watching this episode on YouTube, click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And yeah, answer the question down below. What is your favorite sport in the Winter Olympics? And if you love listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that, make sure you share it with your friends and family. And yeah, make sure you thank Brice as well. Brice, thank you so much for hopping on. As always, it's been a blast. And yeah,
fly,
for
Eagles, fly.
yeah, yeah, shoot him down. Anyways, hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And until next time, we'll see ya.